Good Thursday morning. Welcome to the WLBB Community Voice here on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3, streaming live online at newstalk1330.com and the new News Talk 1330 WLBB app, which you can find in the Apple Store. And, of course, this morning we are on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. Thanks to Joel Brock for handling those duties this morning. You can see seating in front of me two lovely young ladies to discuss a serious issue going on during the month of October, the National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Debbie Bolding, sitting to my left, she's an 8-year survivor of breast cancer. She's a Carrollton native. She works in marketing at Tanner Health System. Been on this program a couple of times, and if you've seen Facebook, you might have seen her sitting in the back a couple of times, but actually a guest about 2 weeks ago as we promoted another event. Now, sitting to my right, Shannon Couvreur.
Yep, exactly.
Dr. Couv.
Dr. Couv, it works.
All right, Shannon, Dr. Couv. She's a board-certified obstetrics and gynecology specialist. Has been with Tanner for 6 years. Earned her medical degree from the Michigan State University College of Osteopathic Medicine in East Lansing, Michigan. And so are you a Spartan fan?
Yes, I am.
And she completed her internship and residency in obstetrics.
Yep, babies.
And
Babies and pap smears. Absolutely.
And gynecology with Mercer Health Partners in Muskegon, Michigan.
Yes,
so Michigan all around.
Michigan all around. Born and raised and was meant to be down here.
Good deal. Well, how did you get down here? How did you get down to Carroll County, Georgia? Really?
I actually applied for a job. I used to work at a different office in town outside of Tanner. Decided to join Tanner for a lot of the benefits that we'll actually talk about for being a hospital employee. And so I've actually been here for almost 11 years down here. I was meant to be a Southern girl.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Covering this important topic. And we're going to let you talk a lot during this program. However, Debbie has a good story, which I think we need to get out, and hopefully people listen to that. I want to get it right at least one time during the show.
Okay.
And you told me, you explained it to me, and I said, I'll say it both ways, and I can't even say it either way right now. Couvreur? Couvreur.
Pretend there's an I-E-R. At the end, write it down. That's your cheat sheet.
I'm going to write it on there.
But most of my ladies just say Dr. C or Couv, and I'll answer to any of it.
I will use all four of those.
If you holler loud enough down the hallway, I will come running. I promise.
Well, very good. All right, October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I want to say that breast cancer and encouraging for mammograms is probably one of the most covered topics, in health.
Yes.
As far as the encouragement, the campaigns. I mean, the pink ribbons and things like that. I think that's been one of the most well-recognized campaigns probably in the last 15, 20 years.
Correct, and the Susan Coleman walk, and a lot of the breast cancer survivors do those 3 to 5 day walks. I don't know how they do that for all that time, but you know what? They fought breast cancer, won, and are walking all across the country. Yeah. So one of our favorite months. It's my birthday month. So anytime that you want to put out a pink ribbon, yes, they have that. Yep.
Libra, yep.
That's why we got along so well.
There you go.
Yes.
Well, mammograms, when you think about the breast cancer and getting that checked out, to see if you have it, mammograms is the process you go through.
Yes.
What is the encouragement as far as getting a mammogram? When should you get your first one?
Well, it's a great question because it's kind of variable. There's some recommendations both from American Cancer Society. There's stuff from ACOG, which is the OBGYN group, who gives us some guidelines. But overall, most women can start getting mammograms right around 35 to 40, depending on their risk factors, because that's something that we always cover in the office. And that's why this whole campaign was very important to me, is because I was recommending mammograms for people the same age as me, and I hadn't gone downstairs yet. Oh, Lord. So I decided that I would take my journey with my patients, because I can't keep offering the same things to low to average risk women when I am one of the same. I'm blessed to have good genetics in that history, which is one of the factors we take into account when we start ordering mammograms. And so I took my own personal journey into doing that to encourage my patients to do the same, because I do have a lot of ladies when we start talking about when they're 38, 39, do we want to get that baseline? Do we want to work towards that 40-year-old mark, which is, an ugly number of 29 forever is what we try to be. So I decided to take the journey with them, go through it, and start to do the screening.
Well, how important is it at baseline to get that done?
Baseline, depending on family history, it can be very, very important because now it's not just mammogram screening. We're actually doing a lot of genetic information as well. So if your mama, your auntie, your granny, somebody else had some of these types of cancers in there, we talk about genetic screening. So some people can get baseline mammograms as early as 30, which seems strange to a lot of women. But if we're more likely to develop breast cancer, we want to find this stuff earlier and earlier, so we shouldn't wait on some ladies till 40.
Well, I guess when you say baseline, I'm not thinking, again, I'm going to be ignorant during this whole show, but
absolutely.
when you think about baseline, I kind of just picture it as it's a starting point.
Correct.
I mean, you're going to see, set that mark and then look for a difference 2 or 3 years later if there is.
And they do. And so some of us have to it's recommended to get mammograms every year based on our risk factors. Some can actually skip a year, which some ladies look forward to going every other year. So starting at age 40, some low to average risk can actually go every other year. Most insurance companies will cover an annual screening. I still encourage my ladies to go annually, so that way someone's always checking on them. Not just me once a year, but another kind of x-ray vision technique.
Remember one of the campaigns, there was a monthly, check yourself campaign. Is that still relevant?
Yes. Absolutely.
And what are we looking for? What are we looking for?
What are we looking for? Yes, what are we looking for in that upstairs region that we take care of? Because every woman is built differently. So this is always a tough question, like some of the things that I'm looking for. We're looking for lumps, bumps, things that do not feel normal, that seem to outlast your hormones. So as we know, most of us get a monthly cycle, and tissue tension, everything can actually change weekly. So we encourage them to kind of check the week after their period if they're getting periods, because that's likely when everything is less inflamed, less lumpy, bumpy. So we're looking for things in the armpit all the way on down. Skin changes. So
it could be external too. It's not just internal.
Okay. You can actually, I encourage my ladies actually to move their arms up and down to see, do they see a dimple? Is something pulling something in? So it could be something way deep in there that maybe I can't feel, she can't feel. But that's why when we do their exam, we move their arm up. You can start to see the tissue change. Something's pulling in. That's a cue to me. I need to take a good look at this. She might need some imaging, even if she's not 40, even if she's not 35. How long has this been pulling? And kind of go from that. So a lady can do her own exam both in the mirror as well as checking around. And that will help me figure out what else I may need to do for her.
Now tell us about the mammogram itself.
It's really not that bad, I promise. So not everyone gets this unique opportunity to have a camera crew and 5 people in your mammogram room for your first mammogram. I will say it was my idea. Tanner Marketing is really great about encouraging physicians to get messages like this out. And I wanted to go unscripted, exactly that. So that video that's online that we'll mention later, that is legit me, full blown, no extra takes, good support system. It's really not bad. The techs that are there are fantastic. They will make you feel super comfortable. You come in there. Now, I'm not going to lie. When she turned the machine sideways, I wasn't sure what kind of yoga position I was going to need to get in to get there. But she'll get you there. I promise. But it's not nearly as bad as what people think it is. I'm actually quite impressed that it really did not bother me or hurt me at all.
Is it less comfortable for individuals who may not be as well endowed?
Well endowed. Well, I am not one of them well endowed girls. And I will tell you, they will find something to put in there, whether they reach around your back and find where that's at and push everything forward. You can go from an A to a C very easily with your mammogram.
And I'm trying to play a little bit light on this. I mean, because it is me, and I'm a guy asking these questions and stuff. But it is a serious thing. So I'm walking a thin line there as far as where I can.
But very important, because I do have lots of ladies that are on the leaner side that are very concerned about getting a mammogram. They're like, I don't have anything to go there. And it's encouraging to let them know, because I don't as well. And so that was one of the questions that I did ask the tech, is like, how do we do this? How do we get this here? Or the opposite version. Some ladies are very well endowed, and it can go everywhere and anywhere. And how do we make sure that we get good imaging techniques on that? So the techs that are there and how they work through the breast center, they get the best possible images. And if they don't, they bring you back for a follow-up. to go with that. So there is a way. They are very skilled at what they do, very efficient, and they will get the best images for us.
And the mom and dad ladies, is it more difficult to self-check? I mean, to find something to self-check?
It is, very much so. They really struggle with all heavy breast tissue. It's very dense. It's very thick. So that's why self-breast exams for them are even more important, because I only see them once a year. They travel with them on the daily, so they can actually check it, and they'll know when something changes for them. So I encourage all my patients, I treat new onset lumps, bumps, stuff that they find. Those are almost same day appointments in my office. They're within 24 to 48 hours because they know their bodies even better than I do.
October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Our guest this morning, Dr. Shannon Couvreur.
You got it.
Board-certified obstetrics and gynecology specialist. Been with Tanner for 6 years. Also sitting to my left, who we're going to speak with deeper here after the break, Debbie Boulding. She's an 8-year survivor of breast cancer. We're going to hear her story. So I hope you stick around to listen to that. We are on the News Talk 1330 Facebook page this morning, so if you have any questions or comments, I may miss some questions for you ladies. So if you want to suggest some this morning, please post them on the Facebook page, and I will share them during when we come back. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System, Oak Mountain Academy on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
As a graduate of Oak Mountain Academy, I've found that my experience on the mountain prepared me beyond all expectations. As a junior at Auburn University, I approached my studies with great confidence thanks to what I learned at OMA. When I think back on my time on the mountain, I think of my teachers. Their genuine love and concern for me as a student was always evident, and now, as an adult, I still foster those relationships. I'm Carly Robinson, an Oak Mountain Academy alum. Visit oakmountain.us to see how you can offer your child an amazing opportunity to be a warrior.
8:42. Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice here on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. I'm your host this morning, Colin Worthington. October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We're discussing that with our guests this morning, Shannon Couvreur, board-certified Couvreur or obstetrics.
Babies and pap smears. You can just say babies and pap smears. We got it.
All right. Yeah. All right. She's a specialist.
Yep.
And she's been with Tanner for 6 years. Debbie Boulding, she's an 8-year survivor of breast cancer. We're going to talk with Debbie this segment and get her story. Thank you for being so open to share it and discuss that. Are you able to share that story a lot? I mean, do people come to you for experience? I mean, I guess as a Tanner employee, when somebody finds out something, I mean, you're probably a good person to go to initially.
Well, through the years, I've had the wonderful opportunity to talk with a lot of women. Friends pass my name along. They'll say, hey, can you call this person? You know, she's just gotten a diagnosis. Can you help her? You know, just talk with her a little bit about it. And I think it's really it's a privilege to be able to offer hope to women, because it's very scary to be told that you have cancer.
Did you have a family history, Debbie?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. My story actually begins with my mother. My mother was diagnosed at the age of 42, and she died at 43 from metastasized breast cancer. So at the time, but she was diagnosed, which was in the early 80s, we didn't have a lot of the screening tools. We didn't have a lot of the treatments that are available now. So fast forward to 30 years later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was monitored, you know, throughout my life. I had an early mammogram, a baseline mammogram, in my early 30s, because I actually had lumps and things that I always had checked out. But in 2013, I found a lump. I was in between my mammograms, and that's why it's so important to do breast self-exams in addition to those mammograms, because I found the lump that was an indication of cancer in one breast. And when I went in for an earlier mammogram than I was due for, I actually had it in both breasts. So compared to my mother, who did not have a lot of options, and she was already stage 4, so it had spread everywhere. Mine was localized just in the breast, and so I was able to, really look at my situation and make decisions that she didn't have available. So I'm really pleased to let women know that you can get past this. There is life after a breast cancer diagnosis.
Were you, when you did find out, I guess, you were kind of looking for it. You were expecting it was a possibility. But how, were you hopeful? Were you hopeless? Were there times where it was really, really tough to get through? And who did you turn to?
Well, I always expected, because my mother, and if your mother has had it, that your chances are really pretty good that you're going to face it. And I had 2 lumpectomies before, which were for benign masses through the years. One before I even had children, so early in my 30s, and then about 7 years before I was actually diagnosed with cancer. And I was sad because I was facing the reality, and I couldn't help but think about my mother's situation and her outcome. But I was also very hopeful because I had kept up to date on what was happening in the field, and I knew a lot of women who had survived breast cancer. There are millions of women now who have survived breast cancer.
And that is the story. That really is it.
Yes. It is, and it's just so important to know that you don't have to be afraid to find that out because there's something you can do. 1 in 8 women are going to get the diagnosis that I got. So in terms of who I turned to, my family, my church was incredible. I was living actually in New Jersey at the time. And my church was wonderful. My friends back here in Carrollton turned their Facebook pages pink for me. People reached out. I know that there were prayers for me everywhere. My workplace was incredibly supportive. People just reached out. And part of that was because I reached out. Some people want to keep that quiet.
It would be difficult for me personally. Anything like that, I would just keep it mum. And that's just me. I know that sometimes that's probably not good, and I may regret that someday. But it would be difficult for me to share.
Well, it was consistent for me because I'm a flaming extrovert.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so it was only natural for me to reach out, and I knew that I would have the support that is so important. And my family was just incredible. My kids were my daughter was still in high school and my son was in college. And so they were very, very supportive of me and really helping me to, get through the day-to-day aspects and kind of having some fun with it too. We kind of tried to keep it light because there was always that shadow in the background, which was what's going to happen. But I was also very fortunate because my doctors told me fairly early that they thought I had a very, very good chance because we called it early. And I basically had 6 months of chemotherapy first to reduce the size of the tumors. I called it my Sweet 16. I had a mix of some new drugs, 12 weekly treatments, and then I had a cocktail of some old-fashioned drugs. There's one that's called the Red Devil that people hear about, adriamycin. And that was over a 3-month period. Then I had a double mastectomy. And then once I healed from that, I had 33 radiation treatments. And then I take a tiny little pill every day. And so I have...
You still do take a pill every day?
I take a pill every day. Yeah, there's some great medications that are out there. They vary whether you're premenopausal, postmenopausal. I was postmenopausal. And so it's an inhibitor that prevents the cancer cells from clumping together. And when I first began taking it in 2013, right before my surgery, it was approved for 5 years for women who were 5 years out. Since I've been taking it, it's been extended to 10 years. So, and I hope it is continuously extended because it makes me feel good that it's something I can do in addition to just, taking care of myself.
Let me ask you 2 questions. Let me ask you about the treatment itself, and then I guess when you were diagnosed with it, did you feel anything? Did you feel different at all? Did your head feel different? Did your body feel different? Is there anything that coincides with that?
It's very interesting because I felt sad because I had been diagnosed, but I had always expected it.
But I guess as far as, did you feel lightheaded? I guess, is there any other symptoms that's coming with that? You're just finding this. There's nothing else that's going to give you a hint. You need to check yourself out. You need to get the mammogram.
Yeah, and it was just immediate. I called the next day. I found it actually on Mother's Day, 2013. And then the next day, that Monday, I called to my OBGYN and went in for the checkup there, and then she referred me over for my mammogram. I will say that for me, and I credit my faith for this, and the amazing support I had. Once I began treatment, the anticipation of what's going to come from the time you're diagnosed until it begins is hard. That's why what Tanner is doing with our 3-day commitment to provide a plan for you is so important. But once I began my treatments, I felt an incredible sense of calm. Because the unknown is no longer unknown. I knew what it was like. I was never sick a single day throughout my treatment. And
that's what I was going to ask you. Obviously, it's if you weigh which is worse, you'd rather live and go through all that, but you didn't really feel any kind of illness, any sickness throughout that whole period?
I was tired. Yeah. I lost every eyelash, every bit of hair on my head.
That's a good look, though.
It worked. It was summer, I made the most of the ball caps and all. But I was so fortunate because, again, going back to my mother's time, my mother chose not to take chemotherapy because she was already at an advanced stage and it was not going to prolong her life. And she said, "What time I have left, I don't want to be sick," because at that time, chemo was harsh. But I was never sick a single day, and I was so thankful for that. I was tired. I slept a lot, and I had a cycle that I went through, so that I knew what to expect. The first day after treatment, I would allow myself a chance to rest. You get steroids too, which steroids kind of keep you up. So I blogged. I did a blog every night after my treatment because I was up. And then I would sleep, and then I always compared it to that game that you see at Chuck E. Cheese called Whack-A-Mole, which is where you get popped, you kind of go down, then you start coming back up again, and then you get popped again.
And you don't know where you're coming back up.
But I always came back up. I always came back up. And I've been very, very fortunate and I think it's because it was caught early, and because of the tremendous improvements that are there. So again, I hope there are women out there who are struggling with this, who will take some hope and comfort, and that it's okay to reach out for help.
Time right now is 8:52. We need to take our final break. We'll come back with about 6 minutes. And if you're watching us on the News Talk 1330 Facebook page, ladies, please, if I'm missing a question here, put something up there. We'll try and get that answered for you in the last 5 minutes or so of this morning's program. Our guest this morning, Shannon Couvreur.
Yes. Got it.
Deals with stuff.
Yeah, and, lots of things.
And Debbie Boulding, she's a 8-year survivor of breast cancer. Our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. This entire show will be in podcast form on the News Talk 1330 website about 9:05 this morning. And, of course, the program will be on the News Talk 1330 Facebook page forever. We'll take our final break and come back after this.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
At Oak Mountain Academy, our daily schedule includes convocation, prayer, and the Pledge of Allegiance. By doing so, we build a family-like community where all students grow and flourish and personal faith is encouraged. Through community service and a historical approach to biblical study, our students are taught the value of the warrior way, honesty, respect, and responsibility. Oak Mountain Academy, we are a family creating legacies. To learn more, visit oakmountain.us.
8:54. Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice here on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. Wrapping up our program this morning, promoting October National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Shannon Couvreur, Dr. Shannon Couvreur, and Debbie Boulding, our guests on this morning's program. Again, got about 5 minutes left in the show. Lorianne Goodine did pop in, and she said, "I love you, Debbie." And she loves you too, Dr. It says.
Yes.
So thank you for tuning in this morning.
We love her too.
Yes.
Gloria.
She's one of our favorites.
What are the chances of this coming back? How often do we see, once you go through all the treatment and everything, how often does this cancer come back?
It depends on which type you have. If it's hormone related, like Debbie was saying, from when her mama was diagnosed to what we do now, it's extremely sophisticated. They do a ton of hormone testing on it, and it's going to depend on which hormones are positive, which ones are negative. So like a triple negative breast cancer, which means it's not kind of hormonally mediated, often does recur and come back into other locations. So there's different types and different styles, which is why we have the breast center and we have Dr. Z and we have medical oncology and that 3-day, because our goal is to figure out what kind you have. So based on what you have, we can help you figure out what's the chances you're going to beat this and go above and beyond that. And then your 5-year kind of survival rate after that. What's the likelihood it's going to come back?
We talked about skinny girls a little bit, not
Yes.
being as excited to get the mammograms, thinking
Correct.
that they have a legit reason not to. But what are some of the more common excuses you hear for women not getting the mammograms in timely fashion that they should?
Really, we saw a lot of them go down just because of the pandemic. No one was doing preventative care. And that's really what sparked me to say, I didn't even do preventative care. Hold up. How can I tell them to do that? So a lot of people, the barriers really to mammograms is they're not sure about it. Can they really make time for it? And it's going to hurt them. And so we come up with different opportunities for them coming up. Like now on your MyChart app, you can schedule at your convenience. You can schedule even after work. So one of the big barriers are, I work 8 to 5. That's when the breast center is open. So we have lots of access to care. Tanner's actually working on a really great program coming up. I don't know when it's officially going to launch, but these walk-in Wednesdays coming up. So stay tuned for all of our websites for that, because you'll have the opportunity just to come on in and get one done, which is super, super convenient and nice to limit people from saying, I can't make it during certain days or times.
So
Giving them access
anytime
to
Wednesday, but not yet.
Not
That's
yet.
coming up
Later.
It's going to be a very shortened period of time, kind of in the morning time frame, but they're hoping to get this program out and going so that way it encourages women, hey, I've got time. I'm getting my blood work done in the building. Let me just come on right over here. It's literally 10 feet away.
And how long does that take, process for a mammogram?
Oh, a process for mammogram takes you longer for check-in than the actual mammogram. It really is 5 minutes. By the time they get through the insurance, that was the hard part for me, was the insurance card and the paperwork. After that, they made it so easy. I was in and out of there.
And you mentioned your own experience doing that. I mean, you did allude to the video early on in this show.
Yes.
That's available for women but encouraged for women who may not have
Correct.
done it before. It kind of gives them an idea what to expect.
It does. It follows my actual journey. I order mammograms 1 million times a day, all day. I don't know what happened when you went downstairs. So it was my job. So what I did is I wanted them to film me from the very beginning. And they were so gracious. Like, they shut down part of the breast center so that way I could show what it does. There's one take on all of that stuff. It was legit, real. Go in, check up. They had me walking in. I had no idea what forms I needed. I had no idea. I went in there completely blind, just like my patients do. And it was, they just did a great job. They make you feel very comfortable. They give you your nice little robe. There's no snacks, though. Bring your own. COVID day, no snacks. I found that out. I was hungry at my granola bar. But they bring you back into the room. They escort you out. They really have a very nice setup.
And that video, tanner.org/mammogram journey.
Correct.
If you'd like to get a good idea on that. Those machines, are they metal? Are they cold?
Glass plates, but not the old school glass plates. More plastic.
There you go. That's another question that I had. I'm so
Yes.
glad we snuck
Oh,
that
no,
out.
yeah, you got the line on the glass, and they'll make sure you hit the line. I will trust you.
All right, ladies, set up a mammogram. What do we
Yes.
do? How do we take care of that?
You can do it multiple different ways. One way is through your OBGYN. Another way, primary care. Or the third most easiest way, if you don't have any of those kind of doctors, can't get into one, self-referral. Call, make your appointment. Very simple, easy to get to.
Has October become the most popular month to get a mammogram, just based on the campaign and
Yes.
exposure? Okay.
I try to make it every month.
Ladies, thank you for coming out
Thank
this
you.
morning.
I appreciate it.
I
It's
hope
an honor.
I hope it was helpful. Hope
Yes.
somebody takes this to heart this morning. And we do appreciate you listening to this morning's Community Voice here on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. I'm sure if you're watching this program later on in the day, if you post something to the Facebook page, if you have a question, I'm sure one of these fine young ladies will take a look at that
Yes,
later
we will
on
be happy to do that.
and try to answer that for you. So tune in tomorrow, our series for local municipal candidates who are running for office in November. We're going to start that series tomorrow. Our first guest will be Jacqueline Bridges. She does not have a challenger this year, but she'll be our guest this morning. Ward 1 City Councilwoman Jacqueline Bridges for the City of Carrollton. We'll catch you tomorrow morning at 8:30 here on News Talk 1330, FM 106.3.